Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné and these are the headlines. All eyes are on the US elections, including in Africa. The results might have an impact on the continent, including on those benefiting from financial assistance or those hoping to go live the American dream. Kigali denies any military involvement in Mozambique after the main opposition leader accused Rwanda of playing a part in a crackdown on post-electoral protest that left at least 13 people dead. Kigali denies the presence of its soldiers in the capital, Maputo. Rainy season is not over, but yet every single one of Chad's provinces have been hit by intense floods that left hundreds of people dead and affected close to 2 million. The world is watching history in the making in the United States. Who will be the 47th American president? Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are face-to-face in a tighter-than-ever presidential election. And we're all waiting anxiously for the results, including in Africa. In Kenya, healthcare professionals are especially looking out for the outcome. The US and Kenya have strong partnerships in military, economic, and health sectors. In fact, Kenya's healthcare system relies heavily on funding from Washington, which is crucial for US diplomatic influence in the region. Olivia Abizo reports.
Each year, 300 million syringes are produced in this factory, meeting half of Africa's vaccination needs. It's also the leading producer of diagnostic tests for HIV and malaria on the continent. These achievements are thanks to US government and private investments that began in 2021.
What we've achieved in 4 years may have taken us 10 years to achieve without the help of US assisted funding. Once we receive US funding, it creates so many more opportunities and so many new doors so that those investments created by that US funding allows you to progress quite quickly.
The US government has also invested €6.5 billion in Kenya over the past 20 years to fight HIV/AIDS, supporting clinics like this one. But despite this commitment, former President Trump cut funding for facilities that provide abortion services in order to appease his political base.
We have really improved on HIV epidemics and prevention and management. I'm really concerned if the donations were withdrawn, all this could be interrupted, and Kenya as a country would really suffer.
The amount of support for African health projects may change, but the US will likely keep investing regardless of who's in office, as this aid isn't purely selfless.
US has also its own national interest in leveraging geopolitics in Africa, trying to make sure that it is not edged out by other emerging powers like China and Russia. And for that reason, it has made a commitment. And Kenya comes in as one of the priority states.
The decisions made in the US will resonate far beyond its borders, influencing key Kenyan sectors and impacting the lives of millions.
And Senegal is also following the US elections with interest. The United States is becoming an increasingly attractive destination for Senegalese would-be migrants. Every year, thousands attempt to live the American dream either by applying for a visa or trying the dangerous routes crossing illegally South American borders. Kathleen Kelly and Elie Mandao met some of the hopeful migrants.
The presidential election is being closely followed here in Senegal as many hope for a future in the USA. Since 2023, many have travelled from Senegal to the USA via Nicaragua, which is one of the only countries in Central America that is visa-free for Senegalese. Even though it's still a perilous crossing through Central America, some say it's less dangerous than the Atlantic route and the overland route through now junta-led countries. There are still also thousands applying for the Green Card scheme, which sees 55,000 visas given out every year to non-US citizens. Today, at a Green Card store in Dakar, there were hopes for a Kamala victory.
Harris. It's Harris that will win, inshallah. Trump is pretty close-minded on immigration. For us who want to immigrate to the United States, Harris' election will be welcome. I want Harris to win the election. I really wish that. I like the way she makes her campaign. and her species.
This morning, the president of the US Senegalese Association, Mamadou Dramé, told local media that he is concerned about those who are undergoing the asylum process currently and hopes for some sort of continuity. When it comes to business and diplomacy, that continuity is also key for Senegal. There are millions of US dollars spent here every year in aid and investment, and Senegal is seen as a key US partner in West Africa.
In other news, Mozambique's defense minister is threatening to send in the military to halt weeks of deadly post-electoral protests. Over the weekend, new clashes erupted in the capital, Maputo, between security forces and opposition protesters. Now, the main opposition leader accuses Rwanda of being involved in a crackdown on protests that left at least 13 people dead. Accusations denied by Kigali. Clément Di Roma has more on the story.
The Rwandan government and military firmly denied claims that they deployed troops to Mozambique's capital. Last weekend, protests erupted in Maputo as opposition supporters contested the October 9th election results, which gave a victory to the ruling Frelimo party. These protests were met with violent crackdowns by law enforcement. In a video, opposition leader Venancio Mondlane alleged that Rwandan forces stationed in Cabo Delgado in northern Mozambique were assisting local security forces in Maputo. Rwanda's government dismissed the allegations as baseless, insisting that its troops remain in Cabo Delgado, 2,500 kilometers away, on a counter-terrorism mission fighting a jihadist insurgency since 2021. The European Union, which funds this Rwandan-led mission, also confirmed there is no evidence of Rwandan troops in the capital. Brussels is set to release an additional 20 million euros in the coming weeks to support the mission.
Floods in Chad have killed hundreds and affected nearly 2 million people. This year's rainy season, running to the end of November, has been particularly intense. And beyond the striking images of the capital city, N'Djamena, submerged in water, there are more subtle damages with longer-lasting consequences on agricultural land. Thousands of acres have been lost, along with tens of thousands of livestock.
Weeks after the heavy rains, Asher Babalkher is wading through mud in his completely flooded field. The farmer has lost 18 of his 24 hectares of cultivated land, a huge disaster for him and his family.
Here I lost 3 hectares of sesame, 14 hectares of millet and 1.5 hectares of peanuts and okra. That accounts for the 18 hectares that were destroyed. These losses amount to nearly €6,000 in profits that have gone. Pesticides, fertilizers and seeds are all lost. On top of that, we have yet to assess the losses related to the livestock.
That's a massive loss in a country where most people earn less than €80 per month. Asher can only assess the damage and try to reach out to the Chadian authorities. So far, he has received no assistance from the state.
We hear on the radio that the Ministry of Agriculture has done this or has done that, but we can't find a way to get in touch with them or present our case to the right office so that we can receive support.
The government has been able to provide compensation to some farmers since the disaster began and continues to reinforce emergency dikes along the Chari River. However, due to a lack of resources, its efforts heavily rely on limited support from the UN.
I think we have maximized the resources available to us, but it really requires a lot of funding. If these areas are not secured, we will face a food security problem. We need to protect their means of production and their livelihoods while ensuring the safety of their homes. For us, it's about taking action that leads to sustainable solutions.
According to the United Nations, 25% of Chad's cultivated arable land has been destroyed this year. A shortfall of 350,000 tons of agricultural products will soon strike the markets, all while more than 3 million people were already facing food insecurity in the country before the rains.
The Taragalte Festival is a nomadic cultural event in Morocco. Sculptors, jewelers, herders, and above all, musicians from Tuareg, Amazigh, and other nomadic communities of the Maghreb and Sahel region gather for 3 days and nights of festivities in the town of Hamid. That's where our team met the Tawa Tiniri band, who described their musical style as desert blues.
Music plays a very important role here in the southwest, especially in this region. Through it, everyone can experience and understand Amazigh and nomadic culture. Thanks to music, we're able to gain global exposure. And here in Morocco, even people who aren't from this region come to see Sahrawi artists, for example. The lyrics can be a bit hard to understand for those who don't speak Amazigh, but our audience feels the message through the music itself, more than through the words. Music keeps nomadic culture alive. It inspires all nomads, especially because it allows young people to remember their culture and way of life. Much of this heritage has been passed down through music.
Music keeps nomadic culture alive. It inspires all nomads, especially because it allows young people always to remember their culture and way of life. Much of this heritage has been passed on through music.
Desert Blues to conclude our edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to France 24. More news still to come.